Joshua chapter 24, and we're going to consider verse number 15. Now notice Joshua, because Joshua is speaking to the nation of Israel, or he is addressing the Israelites, God's chosen people. And notice that Joshua, being the leader at this particular point in time, has a unique message for the Israelites. And notice what his message to God's people is, because it is a message that God is today also delivering to his people. Joshua 24 in verse 15, Joshua says to the people, and if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods, lowercase g, which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods, lowercase g, of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Notice what Joshua said. He said, but as for me and my house. Now, he can't really say this unless he has had a talk with his house. Come on. And like it or not, there are times that you got to set your house in order. And so again, Joshua has spoken with his house. And the wonderful thing about it is that the text implies that after speaking to his house, there were no division about serving God. But you see that Joshua said, as for me and my house, the next two words are important. He said, we will serve the Lord. And so when it came to Joshua and his house, they were united when it came to serving the Lord. The word here for Lord is the Hebrew word Jehovah. But I want you to see in Joshua and his house being united. One particular thing we're concerned about this morning is in reference to serving the Lord. They're united in serving the Lord. And so based upon that, I want to speak from the subject, a united house. I want to talk about a united house. If you don't mind, look at your neighbor and just tell your neighbor the subject this morning, a united house. And if it be true, tell somebody, when it comes to me, I want to be a part of a house that's united. And if it be true, tell that person, I'm done with being a part of a divided house. And let's give God a praise for the subject, a united house. Come on, let's stretch our blessed hands wide and thank him for the word, a united house. Of course, we have been dealing with Family Month in the month of June, and God has been sending us revelation to help get our house in order. And so notice when it comes to Joshua, in Joshua 24 and 15, he addresses the Israelites. And he says this to them. Notice the wording carefully. He said, if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord. Notice, Joshua already knows that it's not evil. But he does recognize that when it comes to some of God's folk, it may seem evil to them. And so as the leader, not only of his house, but as the leader of the nation of Israel, it becomes Joshua's job to straighten God's people. Oh, I knew. I said I wasn't going to get many amen with that. It becomes Joshua's job as the leader to straighten God's people. And see, that's the reason God can't make everybody a leader. Come on. Because some folk, they all into being liked. They're all into having folk like what it is that they have to say. But can I be honest this morning? If you are a bona fide leader, whether in the church or outside of the church, part of leading is having to come before the folk that you lead and straighten them. Oh, come on. I said, and check them. Put them in check. Call them to the carpet. I wonder, have you ever heard that saying? We got to call you to the carpet. But see, a weak leader can't do this. Because a weak leader will always fear who he or she is going to offend, so they can't do the right thing. That's the reason God is careful. He is selective about choosing his leaders. Because if you're going to be God's leader, you got to understand above all that I belong to God. And if God tells me to utter something, if he says to me, say it, then I'm going to say it, even if it upset the folk that I live with. If I got to come out of prayer and get in my house things that are wrong, it's my responsibility to get them right. I am the man. I am the head. I am the leader, the one responsible for things that go down up in here. Are you with me? And that also is my job when it comes to the church. And so here Joshua is saying to the Israelites, if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, then choose whom you will serve. Let's deal with this seems evil. Because God folks are change. Sometimes God's people get to tripping, listen, on God. Oh, you know church folk can trip sometimes. You know people can change for the worse sometimes. Oh, I need to break that down. You know how folks will be in the church when everything is wonderful. They are cooperative. They love the Lord. They love praising the Lord. They love serving the Lord. But the moment trials hit, the moment trouble hit, they sometimes will change for the worse. And all of a sudden, they won't be down with this church stuff anymore. And so he said, if it seems evil, let's deal with this. He's talking about three things. Number one, he's saying to them, if it seems to be unprofitable to you to serve the Lord, then choose who you're going to serve. Because see, sadly, everybody don't see it as beneficial to serve him. So he's saying to them, if you think it's unprofitable, if you think it is, number two, not beneficial, if you think it's not helping you, then choose who you gonna serve. See, I know without a shadow of a doubt that serving God has not only helped me in time past, serving God is helping me right now. I'm going through stuff right now, but serving God, being loyal, devoted, committed to him, it helps me with my problems. Come on, to the point to where I would not want to live without God. Woo, I gotta drop one on y'all. I don't understand church folk who say stupid stuff like it's boring being saved. It's boring being in the church. I don't know what God you serving, because I'm having the time of my life. Living right and enjoying life. Don't you ever look at me and think that I don't enjoy life. Don't you ever mistake me for being a boring person. I may not do some of the things you do. I may not like some of the things you like. You may not like some of the things I like. But when it comes to enjoying life, ain't no sinner gonna enjoy life more than me. Not the earth that the God that I serve created. Oh, I'm dropping too much heavy stuff on y'all. How we gonna be as saints serving the God who owns everything, yet we don't have any of the things that he created for us to enjoy? See, I got educated years ago. God created this stuff for us to enjoy life. Not for us to allow it to master us, but he do want us to enjoy life. You ought to give him a praise off that right now, because he wants you to enjoy life. You don't be in no church talking about you bored. I had more fun in the club. You talking out the side of your neck. That was a saying we had in the 80s and 90s. When a person was talking crazy, we told you talking out the side of your neck. Some of y'all young folk can bring it back if you want to. Finally, when your friend get the trip, they tell you talking out the side of your neck. They go say, what that mean? Finally, if it seems evil, he's saying to them, if it seems like you are wasting your time, then choose whom you will serve. And see, when you really think about how good God had been to these folk in the text, and yet the man of God has to say to them, if y'all think serving Jehovah, if you think you're wasting your time, woo, if you think there's something better that could be done with your time, then by all means, do it. Are you with me? Because see, a real leader will never beg anybody to serve God. Not a real leader. If your leader begging you to serve God, something wrong with that leader. Because God ain't begging nobody to serve him. He ain't chasing nobody to serve. He ain't twisting. Oh, come on, somebody. He ain't twisting nobody on to live holy. Am I right about it? But notice what he said. He says to them, if it seems evil, choose. Choose the power of choice. If y'all don't want to be here, don't come. See, just like Joshua had to be bold, the only way to preach this message this morning, did I have to walk in that same boldness. I ain't at nobody. Come on. But if you don't want to be here, you shouldn't be here. Watch this. You can't be here for nobody else. Well, Pastor, I'm here because my spouse here. That's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. Because if you here just because your spouse here, then your spouse is your God. That's who you serve. Because if your spouse get crazy and leave, you walking right behind them because the only reason you was here. Woo! If you here because your family here. You can see your family after church. You can see your family at Golden Corral. You can meet your family. I'm here because mama and them here. Well, look, when you reach a certain age, you need to be here for yourself. I come to church for myself. I don't get up and ask Donna, is she coming? This ain't no partnership when it comes to God. He said, work out your own soul salvation. The only time you can come to church is when somebody else comes. You better watch yourself. Now, if I get up in the morning and get dressed and start moving and she ain't getting dressed, you know I'll be here. You see how I said that? I ain't playing. I'll be here. And I'll do what I need to do. But as soon as I get home, I know it's something I got to deal with. When that seat is empty for no reason, that's something I got to deal with. I can't be no man scared of my wife. I got to deal with that. So when it comes to choosing, number one, this is what he's saying to them. And this is what God's saying to some of y'all. You have options. Woo! You have alternatives. You have available possibilities. Woo! Is he not laying it down? Y'all know good and well if folks are the same as they are today, back then, and there's nothing new under the sun. Come on. You know folk were rolling their eyes at Joshua. Who do he think he is? I may not come back here no more. But see, listen, before you leave, you're going to get some truth today. I said, you're going to get some truth. And it's amazing how when you get in a real church, a Holy Ghost filled church, when you hear from an anointed preacher, you may decide not to come here, but that word is going to deal with you. That word is going to be on your mind. Why? That came from God. You have alternative. You have available possibility. Listen, until we mature and we decide that when it comes to me, there's only one option, and that is to serve Jehovah. Listen, the supreme God, the most high God, the creator of all things, the supreme ruler. Every other option, listen to me carefully, through time, I have removed off the table. Notice what I said, through time. You don't arrive here and just say, hey, everything's off the table. It's just God. No. You got to get to that place. Because like it or not, when we first get saved, there's still some options on the table. And sometimes we're wrestling back and forth. Y'all know I'm preaching truth. When I first got saved, I was still struggling with women. And it took me some time to take that option off the table. I'm just preaching about me. Ain't no need in looking at Donna. This is my story. Come on. She knew they was on the table. Now she was sneaky herself, so ain't no telling what was on her table. I just know what was on my table. That took me some time. Gambling, I would wrestle with it in my mind. It was an option. Listen, I never did it, but I wrestled with it. How, Pastor? Because I was broke. We needed money. And I knew in time past that the dice had done the trick. It had paid the mortgage. Y'all don't like, some of you don't like real preaching. You want me to sit here and tell you I was born saved at the age of 2 speaking in tongues. It ain't so. It ain't so. Then certain things was on the table. Y'all better listen to me. When I was upset. Options appeared when people angered me. Anybody ever been there? When things didn't go my way. Now what wasn't on the table now appears on the table. Hard trials. Being betrayed by people you've been good to, only to be rewarded with evil. Here's an option on the table. To be revengeful, to get in myself. But see, only when you mature can you have the mentality that I have removed the options. There's one for me. Now, everybody ain't like that. There's one for me, and I got to serve him. Do you hear me? Now, notice what he says to them. Y'all hang in here. If it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourself this day whom you will serve. Whether the gods which your fathers served, that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorite, lowercase g. Notice, gods is plural. Because some in Israel, like some today, in the false church, have become polytheistic. Listen, this word is important. What is it to be polytheistic? It is the belief in or the worship of more than one God. And see, that's where the false church is at right now. The false church wants to worship God on Sunday morning. But they go worship the NFL around noon. Come on. And see, Joshua knew that they had become polytheistic. Did y'all hear what I said? The belief in or the worshiping of more than one God. And you can tell that some in the church have gotten weak because there is no backlash given to people who claim that you can worship many gods. In comes Oprah. Oprah believes in the worship of many gods. Believes that there is multiple ways to heaven or the Father. But see, that ain't what's sad. When she is in the presence of so-called men of God, they don't challenge her. Come on. They don't remain monotheistic. That's what the true church is. We monotheistic. One God. One God. But see, there are churches that are polytheistic. And people talk about, oh, he got a large crowd. There's a reason Joel Osteen keeps a large crowd. Because within his large crowds are people who serve different gods. He knows it, so he himself will not commit to there being one way to. Why? He don't want to disrupt his congregation. See, he have folk worship this God. He have folk worship this God. He have folk that worship that God. Some of you don't like me right now because you listen to it. But see, he is not an anointed preacher. He is a motivational speaker. He will not break down the oracles of the word because he might offend somebody. Known for starting his services with jokes or lies. Want to get folk real comfortable. See, it takes something to be a real preacher. There are folk that don't come to this church because they know the word that comes. It's going to cause them to live something in the church and outside of the church. Now, am I saying everybody here is living it in and outside the church? No. I know better. I've been around too long. Woo! Quiet audience here. Do I think all parents' house run the way it need to run? No. No, some of them ain't got boldness to do it. They ain't got boldness to do it. My children will tell you, growing up, they didn't play certain music in the house when I was there. Now, what they did when I wasn't there, they have been forgiven for. But play it and I hear it, and I'm supposed to act like I don't. Can't do it. He said, if it seems evil, choose. Choose who you're going to serve. You just got to make a choice. Serve. Let's deal with serve. Number one, he wants them to understand who you going to worship. To serve also is to do work for or unto another. Who you going to do work for? Who you going to labor for? Some of us know good and well before we got saved, we labored for the devil by way of demons. See, I got about 5 or 6 amen folk who gonna be real. We done some devilish stuff. Come on, somebody. We done some straight up evil mess. And listen, and many of us weren't ignorant. We knew demons were using us. Ain't no way the things I've done in my past, I can claim that God had anything to do with any of that. I knew demons was using me. I knew I was possessed by demons. It was my lifestyle. And here's the thing about it, and I love doing what I did. But see, to do work for or unto another. Look at your neighbor and say, this boils down to serving, being enslavement. You know the problem with a lot of saints? They not slaves. They still belong to themselves. But see, when you become a slave, you render obedience to your master. Listen, without grumbling or complaining. And your master will test your commitment. Come on. By asking you to do things that he knows you really don't want to do.
Thank you for watching the Making People Productive broadcast with Pastor Leonard D. Cochran of A Place of Refuge, Noonan. To order your copy of today's message, please call the church office at 770-252-3855 and reference the message number listed below. We want to hear from you. If you have been helped, strengthened, or encouraged by the word, let us know. Also, don't forget to connect with us on all of our major social media platforms to receive exclusive information and updates with all things Refuge Noonan. A Place of Refuge Noonan is located in the city of Noonan, Georgia. If you would like to visit us, our worship times are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. on location and live at 10:45 a.m. We also have service every Wednesday at 7:15 p.m. via Facebook and YouTube Live.